Now, I really hope I'm not coming across very biased, because that's not the purpose of these slides. I think the most important aspect is, again, I want you to adopt a cross-pollination of the strategies. And what you're going to see throughout Units 6 to 15 is in every practical example where we're applying the strategies, I've not only included the footprint because I want you to be able to recognize the trade strategies with the tools that you understand, but then see how those trade strategies play out on the footprint and how the advantages within the footprint cover the weaknesses within the trading tools you currently adopt. Okay, so let's start off and talk about some of the weaknesses of the footprint tool, because again, it's important that the footprint definitely does have weaknesses, and it's important to understand those as well. So the first, the first weakness is that the footprint can create a lot of noise if you do not set it up correctly. And that's the purpose of the first 5 units. I'm going to get you to set up the footprint in a very simplistic manner. Also, as I will warn you as we go through units 2 and 4 and 5, is that don't change your settings too often. Don't, when something's not working or you're not necessarily understanding the information, don't look to change the tool just to see the information in a different manner, okay? There's a reason we set up the tool very simply. It's because it can give us effective information that we can make strong decisions upon. So the first thing is that if you don't set up the tool correctly, it can be a lot of noise. And then the second thing is that there are a multiple number of ways that you can set up the footprint tool. I mean, there's so much information coming in, there's so many numbers, you're seeing effectively all the information, all the every single contract being transacted. So there can be this feeling of overwhelming when you're looking at the footprint tool. So those can be the weaknesses associated with the footprint tool. Now, the strengths of the footprint tool, and this is where I get very excited, and I must tell you that for me, the footprint tool is a real breakthrough in my career, because I always felt like I was missing something that could give me the confidence, to execute my strategies with a little bit more leverage, and it was ultimately the footprint tool that's given me that confidence. Now, that confidence came because I was feeling like there were certain weaknesses I had with the tools I was utilizing, and once I found the footprint, those weaknesses have now become covered. So some of the strengths of the footprint tool, first and foremost, is that it's a leading informational tool. In other words, we're not utilizing lagging information. Why? Because as every contract is being bought and sold, and we're seeing the physical interaction between the buyers and sellers, that is as leading information as you can get. In other words, when every buyer is buying, we can simply identify him buying, we can jump on the buying, and we can execute with the buying, rather than waiting for all that buying to be represented by, say, a candlestick, and then we've missed the buy opportunity. Then, the tool captures the most relevant information in one graphic, and that's something that's very important, is that, like I said, one of the weaknesses is there's a lot of information, but if you set it up correctly, the tool can really capture all that information in one simple graphic, and that graphic is simply color-coded. So we have 2 colors, blue and red, and 3 different shades. And all that information boils down to simply 2 colors and 3 different shades. And that for me is unique. It's a lot of information that is summarized in a very simplistic manner. Then, the tool includes price, time, actual volume only, delta, relative market changes. So it includes more information than any other tool that we've observed. Because of that reason, I'm very attracted to the trading tool. Note, it's a relatively simple trading tool only if set up in such a manner. Also, it's a relative indicator, and this is important as well, because what you'll see when we get to Unit 6 to 15 is we do develop trade strategies based on relative shifts. So it does show us the relative changes in the volume, in the delta, in the velocity, in the volatility. Then, it shows us only the actual volume traded, and this is where it trumps the price ladder quite significantly, is that the price ladder can show us a lot of spoofing and a lot of fake orders, whereas the footprint only shows us exactly what is being transacted. Note, it's an objective fact-based tool, and this is particularly important, is that we're not leaving the decisions on opinions or subjective information. we can see the buying coming into the market, we can identify a strategy around this buying, and we can execute on fact-based information. Then, the footprint can be utilized as a standalone tool, but also with other tools. And this is also fascinating because a lot of the time, for example, a price ladder, of course, it can be utilized on its own as well and with other tools. But there are certain tools that, if on their own are less effective than when they are combined with other tools. Now, the footprint is as effective on its own or in combination with other tools. It boils down to which trading strategy you're adopting with the tool. And lastly, and the most wonderful thing, is that the footprint tool ultimately allows you to perfect your timing. Why? Let's say, for instance, you have a trade strategy of a breakout and you're looking for a market to break above a previous important high. Now, you can perfect that timing simply by watching the interaction between the buyers and sellers. Not only can you see the interaction, but you can see the commitment and the initiative and the response taken by other participants just utilizing the footprint tool. So ultimately, that will give us a lot of confidence, which ultimately allows us to leverage up. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate this one last time. It's not a case that the footprint is significantly better. For me, it is a brilliant standalone tool, but it's an amazing great tool when combined with the price ladder, as well as some of the lagging tools like the market profile and candlesticks. Now, in the next slide, we're going to move over and we're going to see the footprint in action. We're going to watch a video of it. I'm going to talk you through the basics of how it's rotating, and then you'll get an understanding of what it looks like in action.